Hi, how's it in the name of Christ? How you doing? It's your girl Crank. Hey, I hope you're good. I hope you're peachy. I hope you're stellar. And I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. It is the 13th of March 2024. Kindly look out for these particular caveats that I have to throw out there. Oh, I always hear. Please look out for my captions. They're not always accurate. They sometimes use a small g for God. They sometimes are misspelled, etc. It's not me. Secondly, I'll one day, maybe in the future, God willing, I'll edit them. Secondly, I'm very potentially wearing application makeup, so that's why it's bouncing off and on, off and on, off and on, up and down. It's an app. Yeah. And then thirdly, I have a segment in my ministry where I pinch my cheeks to display that I'm only human and that if you prick me, I bleed. This is, yeah, a segment that I don't necessarily enjoy doing when I'm going through exactly what I'm going through right now. Just a lot of demonic attack. But all this, I guess, is important to show so that people can see how much they deserve to be ransacked when finally ransacking happens. Boom. The attempt over there was to blush my cheeks to show you that when you prick me, I bleed. So I'm in. There it is. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot. Now there's actually, phew, you know, guys, I really don't know what in the world is happening. I said that the other day, like, I'm confused, I'm torn, whether or not it's the rapture or a future, because the amount of evil, I don't see it. I don't see it subsiding. 1 minute. I do not see it subsiding. Okay, so I had a dream. It was ever so disturbing, and in my dream, some chick from my high school that used to be my friend, she was part of my crew of friends, she bewitched everybody in the crew of girls. She basically went to a sangoma and said, make sure that I am the most successful out of all of my friends. So in so doing, she bewitched literally everyone. She took the whole crew to the devil and sought his face to destroy our futures. I like to say that witches don't tend to have one victim or one batch of victims. So if you have been afflicted by one, chances are this person has got a trail of cadavers behind them. There's more than one victim. This chick that bewitched an entire crew of friends from high school to get not so much nowhere in life, but certainly not anywhere near where she gets in life. I mean, if you can take scheme sahau kaofela sa ko sekolong to the devil, then there is no telling who. These are the kinds of people that you don't want to meet. They're the kinds of people that you cannot be in the same environment as and be safe. You don't want to meet them. You don't want to cross paths with them, but unfortunately you don't know that they're like that. I met a crazy woman like that once who bewitched me despite being a complete stranger. She knew me for 5 seconds, having met her in the clubhouse of the complex where I was staying, and within 2 weeks she had cast spells on me. There's a chick that started working at MTN. We had a house on fire relationship, became friends over and above being colleagues. And she too, within just a couple of weeks of working at MTN, she had already cast spells on me. Before her starting her reign of terror at MTN, I would never have been subjected to her sorcery. So essentially, the worst thing MTN could have ever done was hire her, because then she would just become the bane of colleagues' existence. It's the kinds of people that literally, yo guys, people cannot afford to meet them. People cannot afford to meet them. Like, they come into people's lives and they make a decision to transform their entire life trajectories. They make a decision to change people's lives very comprehensively using sorcery. Anyway, having described to you these two colleagues, not two colleagues, the one was a chick that used to live in my complex, and then the other one was a colleague. This former friend of mine is just like those two women. She is a loose cannon, and I had a dream last night where the Lord was showing me one of her victims, and when I woke up from that dream, my heart was very broken because I immediately understood what it meant. Immediately there was this, I knew that it wasn't me, that it was a woman I did not recognize the face of, but she had these big pouty lips. Yeah, she had big lips. Like, yeah, that's something that just stood out in my dream. The Lord saw it fit to highlight the fact that she had round big lips. Pretty girl, and she was sitting at what looked like an interrogation table, and opposite her at that table was this former friend from my high school that bewitched the whole crew. And she kept asking her on a loop non-stop, why did you kill me? 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 Looking at her on some, why did you kill me? Why did you kill me? Like, she just kept asking that. And this chick was just standing, she was just sitting there listening to this woman ask her why she killed her. I then, of course, you know, woke up to remember that dream, and I immediately knew what under heaven it meant. That was a woman that is one of the victims. That is a woman that is one of the victims of this woman, of this former friend of mine. I've been saying it, like yesterday I did a video. In that video I was speaking this very same thing. I was speaking about people who are culpably responsible for killing others. People that are culpably responsible for killing other human beings using sorcery. I spoke in, was it yesterday's video or the day before, that when you take away a person's future, when you take away a person's future autonomy, like their ability to do what they want to do with their lives, you have got to anticipate that they could end up dead from a myriad of circumstances. I described the death of some dude that I used to know from back in the day that was the friend of my ex-boyfriend. I don't know if he passed away in real life, but I once got a dream of him having been killed by the consequences of sorcery. Basically, that which derailed him ultimately led to his demise. He was not killed by a death spell, but the witchcraft motioned events that eventually ended his life. In my dream. I don't know if that guy's alive. I don't even want to find out. And I had a dream of some chick that I don't recognize, that had big round pouty lips, a pretty chick. She looked in my dream like that chick from Scandal, I forgot her name, that was married to Clinton, or dating Clinton, you get my point. Yeah, she was beautiful, and she died. In my dream she was asking this former friend of mine from high school that bewitched the whole crew, why did you kill me? And all I could ask God in the morning when I woke up was, did she do a death spell? Is she into that? Is she into human sacrifices? Is she into stuff like that to get what she wants? And I guess the Lord's response was, you know what the answer is to that. A lot of them don't kill with spells. They're not trigger happy immediately. They're not immediately trigger happy. They tend to destroy people's lives, and then these people end up dead. They pull rugs from under people's feet. They spiritually manipulate the outcomes of people's lives until these people can do nothing but die. When you take away a person's entire purpose in life, it can result in suicide. And I've been saying that. And in my dream, there was a woman asking this chick, why did you kill me? My heart was just broken in the morning when I woke up. And all I could think about was, honey, she killed you for the same reasons that she almost killed me. She killed you for the same reasons that she almost killed me. The only difference between you and I is that I got saved by the God of the universe because I belonged to the Lord. Rescued me from the final end result of the kind of witchcraft that has been cast on my life. The Lord saved me. I was rescued by the blood of the Lamb. But there's really no difference between you and I other than that, because I promise you, if like with the amount of sorcery that has been cast on my life by so many people, I would not have made it, guys, past the age of 30. I wouldn't have made it. I was gonna die young. I was gonna die young. It was inevitable. I mean, the witchcraft was just so exquisite. So many people around me just trying to chip at something in my life. Prospects for marriage, prospects for career, prospects for business. You get my point? Like anything, like people just going out of their way to block others. I keep repeating myself time and time again. And in my dream, this chick was just not responding when the other woman was asking her. And I then went on right ahead to wonder if at all these people know who killed them when they've died. And in my dream, this chick who was sitting in this interrogation room asking this chick, why did you kill me? Shoo, guys, that's like, bruh. Yeah, I was like, God, are you telling me that when people arrive in eternity, they find out who killed them? Do they wait until the great white throne judgment, or do you immediately give them a knowing as to what led to that end of their lives? Like people that did not quite see death coming and then it came, do they have a knowing as to who organized the hit? And in my dream, the chick, well, I mean, of course I didn't get an answer from God, but like the dream implied that yes, they do. God somehow lets them know that you are here because somebody ruined your life. Like dominoes just kept on tipping until you ultimately committed suicide. You took pills and you ended your life, or you just ended up dead because you found yourself in an environment that did not suit you because of where people threw you and you died. Like women who keep on manipulating their friends' prospects for marriage, and then this chick ends up in a marriage with like some abusive freak that kills her. I spoke about that yesterday and maybe even the day before, talking about how it is that when you try to block a woman from marrying well, you invite potentially an abusive husband. So when she gets killed by the man that was the compromise that you wanted her to walk in, you are culpably responsible for that murder, for that death. You are culpably responsible for her death because you put her in harm's way. And with that level of darkness that I saw in my dream, and just generally, and with the level of exhaustion that I also feel in my bones, because there's also quite a lot of witchcraft in operation right now. I'm being worn out, I'm being drained, I'm being made war with, I am being fought, that I might give up, throw in the towel, the very thing that was the end result of the woman in my dream asking my former friend, why did you kill me? Proper, what is happening to me right now is essentially that very same thing, where I will wake up in eternity and then haunt a person in a dream, asking them, like, maybe that's what God was showing me with that. Like, a person feeling so guilty thanks to the death of somebody that they manipulated the life of, that they can't stop thinking about them, dreaming about them, essentially being haunted by them, like Lady Macbeth after killing the king, constantly washing her hands off the blood of the king, obsessive compulsively so, because now she's got a paranoid schizophrenia. Now she has got a psychosis that is inspired by the severity of guilt, of blood guilt, that comes as a result of finding out that somebody who lost a job because of literally all the events that ensued after your sorcery. And then with everything falling apart the way that it was, they just made a decision one day out of a severity of heartbreak and despair, just decided to go and grab a noose and hang themselves. And then when you find out that your former colleague passed away in a suicide, and she's only former because she lost a job because of you, you know you did that. You know you did not expect her to kill herself, but she did. Like, she probably did. I often wonder what all of those animalistic buffoons at MTN would have thought if during my suspension I committed suicide. What the heck? Like, they would have literally motioned events in my life to make sure I lose something. They would have been guilty, literally caught red-handed with crimes they've committed against an innocent woman completely. My case was so obviously bizarre, because I was innocent from the first day I was accused of anything. It was just clear to everyone, colleagues and everything. There are those who committed witchcraft against me, so it was spiritual and unseen. And then there are those who physically sabotaged, where it is that their fingerprints could actually be seen, could actually be dusted. And with all of that evidence of people being wrong at the expense of an innocent woman that is obviously innocent in the sight of everybody that got to see that situation, I have so many witnesses. If I had committed suicide just from a severity of despair, thanks to having just had the rug pulled from under my feet with me being unable to get any word in despite being innocent, if I had made a decision to commit suicide before even I was finally once and for all fired, because it would be months before they fired me, colleagues would have been like mates, you know, like cold water, hot water would have just been poured on them when they found out that Karabo passed away. At MTN, there was this communique that used to get sent whenever people would pass away. ABC has died, and you see their photo there. Given that they had suspended me, but I was not yet fired from the job, so I was an employee, there would have been a communique sent by HR to the whole company saying that I've died, and colleagues would have known, those that were in a position to receive the news, the information, that she committed suicide. And they would have known that they freaking killed me. They would have known that they lied about an innocent woman, and people would have had the information at their disposal that I was innocent. It was obviously a violent act of careless sabotage, trusting that you're going to get away with murder even though the evidence is in favor of your victim. You are the perpetrator at this point. That woman is a plaintiff and you are the defendant in this matter. That information would have been available for all to see in broad daylight, and the woman would have committed suicide. What in the world would have happened at MTN, in the marketing department, in our project management teams, and the business analyst teams, and the tester teams? What? It would have just been this big fat chunky freaking elephant in the room, where a whole bunch of like demonic miscreants would have led an innocent colleague to her suicide, and those people would have just continued to work their jobs. That is the level of evil in this world. It's written in Matthew 24 that because of an increase in lawlessness, the love of many will grow cold. If at all what happened to me at MTN had resulted in my death, it would have been the fulfillment of that passage of scripture perfectly. And those who committed witchcraft against me, where it is that it was anonymous and unseen, they would have been gnawed away inside, chipped away at, brick by brick, by the guilt of understanding that they spiritually manipulated things so as to make the bizarre outcome of a completely innocent woman's case what it was, where it is that her innocence would be starkly ignored. in broad daylight, starkly ignored, despite the evidence, monumental one at that, standing in favor of her. They would have sat there at their desks, having bewitched me from some scrawny little corner of marketing, encircled by spiders' webs, as the creepy little arachnids they are. They would have sat there and understood that their manipulation of my life led to my suicide, and it's just been eaten away quietly inside. But the fact that people can move on with their lives after that kind of travesty, that for me tells me, are we really still going to carry on with this rubbish? Is this really still going to be a going concern? I do not know. I do not know. My heart goes out to whoever that woman is that was murdered by my former friend. Somebody's dead. I thoroughly am aware of it. And I don't think that it had to do anything to do with a human sacrifice ritual per se. I think more than anything, it's about these miscreants, these impetuous devil worshippers, these incontinent, undiapered infants rolling around in their basic instincts, just casting spells on every new thing they meet, until people, some actually end up in eternity. Some people actually end up dead. And these incontinent, undiapered infants find a way to move on with their lives. They find a way. They find a way, guys. I promise you, everyone that did this to my life has found a way to move on. They found ways to go get married, get children, build legacies, start businesses, leave their jobs for business endeavor. They found a freaking way. Despite the initial guilt they felt, they found a way to basically suppress the memory of sabotage that they did against a person. And I am certain that after succeeding so exquisitely to derail a completely innocent woman, you, given that this thing works so well, unlikely, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. So I was just among the early victims. I told you that these people are like ones who've got like a trail of cadavers strewn behind them on the street. It's like carnage. Behind them is just a trail of cadavers. And these randos find a way to move on. They find a way to basically relieve themselves of guilt, because herein lies the deal. Because it's spiritual, because it's witchcraft, they thoroughly don't have a smoking gun. They don't. There are no fingerprints. There's also no bloodshed that they got to watch. They don't have the guilt of an incarcerated murderer in prison. They do not have the guilt of a person that actually physically, with their bare hands, strangled a person to death. They don't have that kind of physical body and physical crime. And so they imagine it's not the same as strangling a person to death. They think it's not the same as shooting a person twice in the head. They think it's not the same. So unlike the person that's haunted by images of their first kill, haunted by images of the person that they laid on the ground still with warm blood still coursing through their body, however getting cold, they don't have the sight of that. They don't have to see life just get drained, sapped out from the eyes of a person as they watch them bleed out because they punched them enough times until they died. They don't have the smoking gun. And I think that that's the problem. I think that's the thing that makes them move on. The thing that makes them carry on and just get married, have children, raise them, start a business. What the heck? Like, people like you are in prison. So they are perpetually reminded about what they did by the fact that they are behind bars. But you, no, you're running rampant in these streets. You're flying, you're soaring like a bird. The fact that you are not in prison is the reason why you are able to move on. When you have got as much blood on your hands as the blood on some inmates in a maximum security prison, they have to be reminded every day that they committed a crime, because every day they wake up in a prison. But these witches wake up every day and just chill on their verandas and their big houses, and they, cuddle their babies. They walk their dogs. They buy new cars. They go to lunches, dinners. They laugh at jokes. They watch shows on Netflix. They watch YouTube videos. They study a tutorial on how to make cheesecake. What the heck? Like, that's, you know what? Like, guys, it is no wonder the Lord is about to kill these witches so that they can go to prison in a way that murderers on earth are going to prison. I keep saying South Africa does not regulate witchcraft, and that's problematic because it's being practiced incessantly in this country despite having produced some pretty ridiculous consequences for the entire nation. And not regulating it has made these criminals, because that's what they are, just run rampant, loose cannons. And I told you, impetuous, undiapered babies. They're incontinent. They cannot hold in their urine and their stools. They cannot hold it in. They can't wait to use a bathroom. They've got to just get what they want and get it now. And they will do that to anyone that they feel is a threat in their environment. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they did not sign up to meet this freak who started working for the company 2 weeks ago. They did not sign up for this freak who moved into the same complex as them 2 weeks ago. They did not sign up for this freak who enrolled for the same class at university as them. They did not sign up for this freak who started taking up some classes to do sewing and just so happened to sit next to you. And now 2 weeks later, your life has been shattered by someone that didn't know you 2 weeks and a day ago. Incontinent and diapered babies who are not being regulated by the government of their land. And so because they're not being regulated, nobody is going to prison for the crimes that they're committing. No one. So I mean, of course, God is going to kill you so that justice can be served in a way that it just presently is not. If we can put Hannibal Lecter and Jack the Ripper and Ted Bundy and Moses Sithole in prison, when you're so a prolific, homicidal deviant as that, why under heaven are you absolved from having that cannibalistic mask put on your face as you're put in solitary confinement and given only 1 hour in the sun a day? Why are you absolved from enjoying that kind of handling of your person when Hannibal Lecter gets to endure it? Now, proper witches, this is why your lifespan's gotta be cut short. Do you understand? This is why sometimes even the serial rapist lives longer than you. It's because police are actually looking for the serial rapist. They're searching houses, lifting, shaking trees, and looking under every stone to find their paper trail. They're trying to find their footprints, their boot prints. They're trying to find their fingerprints. They're trying to find their DNA, their hair. They are trying to interview witnesses. They're trying to catch the guy because he has left a paper trail. And when he gets caught, fine, we all spit at his shoes. Because why did you kill our children? Why did you rape our women? But this guy gets apprehended by the national correctional system. He gets put in a state penitentiary, and in a country where there is a death penalty, he might even die. Those people have, frankly, a better rap in the sight of God than you witches. Because somebody is looking for them. Somebody is dusting fingerprints. Somebody is shaking some trees and lifting some rocks to find where they're hiding as the rodents that they are. They're on the run. They're fugitives. They're fugitives. They can't just go to the store and buy a carton of milk because their wanted sign is all over news media. They can't live freely. Like indeed, little rodents are trapped in gutters underground. They gotta scrummage around behind the eyes or the veil of society because people are looking for them. They're fugitives. But y'all, all of y'all, you're brazen. You're brazen. You're ridiculously brazen. You walk into garage and you buy some jelly babies and a milk carton and you greet the teller and you get out and you go inside your car. And as you're pulling out, somebody hoots at you and greets you because they know you from your neighborhood, and you stop the car and you have a boisterous conversation right there at the garage in front of a police van that's pulling in. The police officers of which then go inside the garage and also go buy jelly babies and milk cartons. And they see your face and you greet them. And then you go into your car, say bye to your friend, and then drive into your complex where you stay, and the security guards greet you. The next door neighbor who is watering her garden greets you too. And you go inside your house and you recline your chair, you open a good book and you listen to some lounge music in the background, cause honey, ain't nobody freaking coming for you. You set your alarm for a certain time to wake you up in the morning because you're not looking over your head the way you sleep like a baby. You walk around freely like that with all that blood on your hands. It's dripping spiritually. God sees the trail of cadavers that you have strewn all over these streets, and their blood is crying out to him. But the police of the country don't even know. So much so that you greet them as you go in and out of the quick shop at the garage. The friend of yours that knows you, that saw you pulling out, greets you because they don't think you're a creep to be avoided. The security guards like you because they think umutwabatu. The neighbor that you've bewitched also greets you because she thinks you're just good peoples. Nobody is onto you except for people like me with prophetic gifts. Couple of sangomas in these streets who use their gifts for the kingdom of darkness. One or two people that might suspect you. And then of course, God. With you then walking around hopping these streets like a freaking kamikaze kangaroo. You're properly suicidal. Somebody gotta neutralize you. Somebody gotta put you on death row. Someone gotta knock you out. If your government is not gonna regulate what you're doing, somebody's gotta knock you out. Somebody has to take you out, bugger, because next week you're starting a new job and there is going to be a woman there that's about to get married that you are going to envy so badly that you're going to get your grubby, muddy, bloody hands to mire her wedding gown, because it's just what you do. This woman, however, unbeknownst to herself, is not planning on 2 weeks later meeting the bane of her existence that's going to separate her with her fiance. She's not expecting that until you start working at the new company. Proper, you literally have to be cut like with scissors. You have to be severed, you have to be stopped, you have to be moved out the way, you have to be kicked out the way like a soccer ball, exsanguinated, literally fumigated just like cockroaches. You are an infestation, and you continue to grow in numbers. The infestation is astronomical, it's exorbitant. It is horrific how few little people listen to me on YouTube, because you know what? I am healing and I am helpful to enable people to gain discernment, to figure people like you out. Wear protection that most of the world just does not have. Christ. And so be shielded as with an iron dome over their body from little creeps that are just going to move into their complexes just 3 weeks from now, and then cause you in a year down the line to have that particular house that you're living in, that apartment that you're living in, to be repossessed because you lost a job, because your neighbor that moved in that 3 weeks later, that is still coming in the future, decided to mess with you so much just out of nothing but envy, that you could not do anything but lose your apartment, even though you were perfectly sound, perfectly sober, perfectly fine before this creep moved into your complex. That's what you do. People that don't see it coming. Guys, there are people. There's this one guy from my high school. He actually used to date this creep. I didn't even know he had a low-key crush on me. He cast spells on me for what I don't know, because like I said, he was my friend's man. And secondly, we didn't even have, like, we were there, guy. You were just some dude in my class. And then you decide to thwart a person's life. Like, you know, when somebody is so distant that sometimes you don't even remember their name. When you see them, you're like, you feel embarrassed. You recognize them, but you don't remember their name. That's how insignificant they were to you. And then that person literally significantly alters the course of your life. They're lurking in the shadows. They live among us. They're hauntings, ghosts, poltergeists. And they don't have enough blood on their hands, like Lady Macbeth, to obsessive compulsively wash it off, because of the fact that they lack a smoking gun that is physically observable. They don't see life getting drained out of the people they have just shot. That trauma is not in their bones. They never got to see a person die at their hands very physically, and so that's why they're able to move on. When a person commits suicide, you don't think it's the gun that you unleashed in their brain. You don't see it that way. So of course you live lives where it is that you move on from murders you committed. You are literally psychopaths. You're serial killers. You are serial killers. You are no different from, like these men I've mentioned, Jack the Ripper, Ted Bundy, Moses Sitole, Hannibal Lecter. Prolific at that level, because you've got that kind of freaking body count. You literally have that kind of body count. But you don't see that suicide was you. That accident that a person got into, inebriated on alcohol because they could not help but drink themselves to a stupor thanks to what you did to their career. You don't see that it's you that got them in that position in the first place. You don't see how a drug habit is your fault. You don't see how an alcohol addiction is your fault. You don't see how the loss of children is your fault. You don't see how what ultimately happens to people when they've been thwarted, blocked, just antagonized in all of their endeavors. You don't see how it is that the end result of certain tragedies that happen in their lives are your fault. You don't see yourselves as Hannibal Lecter. You don't see yourselves as those flesh-eating cannibals. You don't. And so because you don't see that, like I said, you recline your stupid chair in your house and you read a good book while some lounge music is playing in the background and a Netflix show is just playing on mute. All these things that you just get to enjoy. That's you. You're not running from the police. You're not scared of them. You call yourself a law-abiding citizen. You pay all of your traffic tickets, if at all you get them. You drive at 60 kilometers an hour in a 60-kilometer-hour zone. You don't mess with that. You don't. So even you don't drink alcohol, right? So you're self-righteous, and as you drive down Malibongwe and there's like a roadblock by the Metro Police, you're not scared. You're not scared. You're not wondering, oh goodness, now how many tickets do I have? Oh, I can oh good. If they find me, I'm gonna end up paying 5,000 rands for unpaid traffic tickets. No, girl. You know you've got a clean rap sheet in that regard. You don't drink, so really, even if they stop you, nobody's gonna be giving you any breathalyzers because there's no whiff of alcohol coming out of your car, even though you're driving at 2 a.m. in the morning. Because we're not sitting at 2 a.m. because you're hardworking and you've just gone live with some project, and so that's why you're driving at 2 a.m. in the morning. And when the police stop you on a Saturday night where a whole bunch of young adults are coming back from the club and getting caught and put in like these vans in their numbers for drinking and driving, you know that when they stop you, there's going to be no alcohol, just an exhausted driver just that wants to go home and sleep. You're not running from the police. You're not trusting that on their iPads they're going to see your photo as being basically recognizable from a mugshot of a criminal that is on the loose that everybody's looking for. You don't freak and fret and punt at a roadblock in a way that I do. I mean, literally, you have destroyed my life to a point where, albeit having at some point been myself a law-abiding citizen, especially after coming to Christ, I stopped speeding on the road. I stopped driving like a madwoman. I used to drive like a madwoman, then the Holy Spirit regulated that. So I paid all my traffic fines and all that jazz. And there came a time in my life when I was able to just go right by the Metro Police, toothpaste out of a tube that's fat and full. Easily was able to just go right by them. That was me. Prior to my salvation, I had outstanding tickets. But because I got saved, I remembered that God said that, oh no man, nothing except love. So I paid them even though it was painful. Took money out of my budget that I wanted to use for other things, but then I realized, but I owe the state. These are my traffic fines. I then started to actively look out on the road for traffic signage telling me what speed I can drive here. And I honored it. And so for the first couple of years in the faith, I really enjoyed driving freely and getting stopped by the police, smiling at them, trusting that I'm going to be cool. They're going to put my ID number in some system of theirs and find that there's nothing at all that they have on me. I was that girl for a season. My license disc was always renewed. My driver's license was always within the expiration date. All that jazz, you get my point. I was that girl, but prior to my redemption, especially about 2 to 3 years before I got born again, where I used to drink alcohol every so often, I would drive having drunk alcohol and I would freak out, shake like a leaf every time there would be a Metro Police stop. There was a time when I was driving a car and I was having an argument with my ex-boyfriend, my boyfriend at the time, and I didn't want him driving my car, and there was like a hard knock roadblock at 1 a.m. in the morning and I was super drunk and I was so scared. They let me go. They let us go. They didn't stop me. That was the grace of God, frankly, because if I had gotten caught, I would have failed a breathalyzer. I would have found myself in a holding cell. I would have had a criminal record, and that would have just ruined my future. I insisted on driving drunk when I drove back home because I was dropping him off because I didn't want him staying at my apartment. I saw that roadblock on the opposite side of the road and I was like, my goodness, I am super drunk and look at me driving on the N1 highway at this time of night. That was me. That's how I was. And then of course there were the tickets. I would drive like a mad woman, so every so often I could see that bright light flashing me camera at night when I'm driving because I'm above the speed limit. I was just reckless that way. And all of those speed fines, I had to pay them only once I came to Jesus Christ because I got convicted that was sin. And of course I had sobered up. I sobered up long before I came to Christ. For 2 years, 2 to 3 years prior to my redemption, I had already dropped alcohol altogether. It never really was my thing anyway. But when it comes to speeding, that never stopped. And I paid all those fines. I then was able to drive freely. And then, listen to this. This is the point that I'm getting to. I got thrown after just 3 years of being born again into so much poverty, squalor, obscurity. I got thrown into so much hardship, a poignancy of sorrow, that I could no longer pay for my driver's license to be renewed. I could no longer pay for my license disc to be renewed. I could no longer, well, I mean, I still drive relatively decently, so I don't think I have any outstanding tickets. But one thing that is restored to me now is fear of the Metro Police, despite being, listen to this, innocent. I am completely innocent. People put me in a position to fear the police. I drive a car that is unlicensed on the road, whose license disc has been expired for years because I have no money to renew it. My driver's license is expired for years because I've had no money to renew it. So if I were to get stopped by the Metro Police, not only would my license disc be years expired, so they would be like, this is unacceptable. They'd probably impound my car. But they would also realize that my driver's license has been expired for years. They'd basically say to me, what are you doing on the road? Fine, so you're not drunk, but goodness, this here is a vehicle that shouldn't be on the road. And you, with this license, should not be driving. You've put me in a position to fear police despite being innocent. That's the travesty. Those are the unequal scales that I am trying to address here. It's the fact that you go and you grab, under normal circumstances, law-abiding citizens, and you put them in a position to flee from the law. You put them in a position to flee from the law. Not only am I now running away from the Metro Police, I avoid them at all costs, always taking the long dry and what have you, but I've also been put on the credit bureau because at the time of losing my job, I did have some outstanding debts that I was going to pay off. I had a plan. I had like a whole 2-year plan to seal all of them, close them. The debt of which I was only gotten into because of Christian persecution. I endured something at the hands of my family and I had to quickly move out. And in order for me to quickly move out of my mother's house, well, I mean, because I had gone back to live with my mom, I had to take out a loan. I had planned to pay it off within 1.5 years to 2. But I lost a job. I lost an ability to pay my way. And now I'm on the credit bureau, so basically, an honest woman that pays her debts on time and is not the type of person to run away from her responsibilities, looks now to all of the financial services industries of South Africa like some random derelict that loans money and doesn't pay it back. You've given me a reputation that is mine. This here is an unjust scale. According to the scriptures, the Lord considers it an abomination for there to be an unjust scale. He recalibrates them and makes sure that they are straight. That's Jesus. And so for me to be viewed, do you know that I lost a job opportunity with Rand Merchant Bank where they were going to pay me 10,000 rands more than what I was earning at MTN, despite having found me in unemployment. I had already lost a job, and Rand Merchant Bank / FNB passed me up because I binged, ding, 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 on the credit bureau. Financial services industry companies do not recruit people with a bad credit rating. They just don't. You might get away with being hired at an MTN or at a Vodacom, any other institution, but in finance, forget it. They were looking for a project / program manager, and they were happy to award me a job until I came back, bing, bing, bing. I basically pinged on a system that does not like people like me. They could not care less to interrogate why that is the case, what's going on. I just lost an opportunity and so therefore potential at restoration to a career and some kind of a semblance of a life because of that. And that was yet more sorcery operating, trying to make sure that I don't get very far in life, that my career does not prosper as I desire. Because really and truly, even though you would have made for an excellent program manager for Rand Merchant Bank, bottom line is this: your credit sucks. And they're not trying to deal with people who look like they're dishonest with money. How they gonna go and hire somebody in their financial institution that is financially irresponsible? But like, I'm not financially irresponsible, but I was not awarded an opportunity to sit before a senior manager or a general manager at FNB / Rand Merchant Bank and explain to them why I'm in this position. I was not even awarded an opportunity to talk to them. They were interested in seeing me according to the recruitment agent, but after they did a credit check, the recruitment agent was like, sorry girl, I'm sorry, I'll keep trying for you. But that was the opportunity that she was looking for me, so she never contacted me again. She saw my CV, imagined that it aligned to what it is that they were looking for, and after I could not quite get into that space, she just threw me away. She gave up on me. She didn't have any incentive to carry on with me, especially considering I was now on the credit bureau. She was a woman trying to make money. And so a candidate that is just so onerous, so much hard work to place, whatever, no, I'm gonna find somebody else with a clean credit bill. So I was completely innocent and entirely employable, yet this little glitch in my particular matrix was caused not because I one day decided that I'm gonna go and buy shoes instead of pay my debts. I lost a job, the job of which was as a result of dominoes tipping thanks to all these witches and all of these saboteurs. And now here it is that I look as if though I'm irresponsible. South Africa, the service that basically checks on me, that don't look at the woman but just look at the ones and zeros, the binary code, make me look like an irresponsible citizen. Checks done at the licensing department makes me look like I don't even renew my driver's license. Driving a vehicle on the road whose license disc has expired like years ago. I just look like this irresponsible miscreant that could not care less for the laws of her country, when like literally there couldn't be anything farther from the truth. Nothing. So here it is, like Karabo tiptoes, do you understand, around the police for the reasons I've just highlighted above, especially Metro Police, for the reasons I have just highlighted above. And here it is that literally like right now I'm trying to get my life back together again. Unless I make so much money in 1 month, in one sitting, unless I become literally almost like a millionaire overnight, or hundreds of thousands overnight, I will not be able to be placed or land an apartment and move out of my mother's house with any level of ease. Because despite having a constant stream of income that can provably be relied on by a financial services institution, they will not trust me to maintain payments for rental of an apartment with the kind of credit situation that I have right now. When you are listed on the credit bureau in South Africa, you can't even get an apartment. You can't, unless of course you pay upfront rental for the whole year. Unless you pay upfront rental for 2 years, then they'll let you stay. But if at all you want to pay month on month, and then they do a check and you bleep on a radar of credit irresponsibility, they're just going to be like, I'm sorry, no, the landlord won't take you. The landlord won't take you, unless of course it's at the discretion of the landlord. The landlord can make a decision to basically give you a chance, but a lot of people are risk averse and will not do that for a complete stranger they don't know. A stranger they don't know, a person whose history they don't understand, unless you've actually been with this person for a minute and they understand your troubles and so therefore understand your character, you know, that vindicates you against what you look like on paper, unless you have that kind of a landlord who has actually known you for a while, knows what you've been through, and now that you have a job is like, I'll give you a chance because I know that the only reason you look like this on the credit bureau is because of ABC. Unless you know somebody that is prepared to do this for you, you literally are going to be running around from pillar to post as a homeless woman that has got money to pay every month to live in a house, and they will leave you on the street because your credit is messed up. So I am facing a risk of still like staying living in my mother's house despite being able to afford monthly rental. I have first got to pay all of my debts. Once they're all paid off, I've got to then get my name removed off the credit bureau. And then once it's removed off the credit bureau, I then have to rebuild my credit again. So open stupid accounts at Fashini, open stupid accounts at Edgar's, open stupid accounts, yeah, and pay them over like 6 months to a year. Then only apply for rental, where it is that they will approve me to live in an apartment. I'll basically be like exactly what I used to be prior to me building any credit at all. I remember I tried to take out like a personal loan to pay my fees because they were outstanding 1 year, and they declined me because I didn't have any credit at all, like at all. So in order for me to be approved for credit, I had to take an over. I didn't want debt, just that one. That's the only debt I wanted. But Standard Bank would not give me that loan. And in order for me to qualify, I opened an account at Queen's Park, and I also accepted an overdraft with Standard Bank. An overdraft. They are prepared to give you an overdraft because your salary comes into that account and automatically is consumed by the overdraft. So it's safer to take an overdraft, but a personal loan was too much of a risk. And I saw that, okay, at this rate, I have got to open these little accounts, never mind the personal loan. But at this point, it's about a car. I want to get a car at some point in the future. And if I'm going to get a car, if they can reject a personal loan, how much more will they reject a vehicle loan? So I had to just like take out all these random accounts at Woolies and at Queen's Park, pay them over however long, and then only was I able to apply for things like personal loans and cars. That was the very beginning of my life within the adult space, where I was now out of high school and I was just useless in terms of credit, and I had to build it. I'm 39 though, right now. I'm 39, headed for 40, hitting the ground running like a speed train. And at 39 going on 40, I have got to rebuild my credit like I'm a 19-year-old fresh out of high school, a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old that's just started her first job after having been forced to drop out of university. It's like, can you regress a person more? Can you make a person moonwalk more? Like Michael Jackson out here, be walking backwards, can you? But you see, they do that to people. A responsible woman that would never have found herself on the credit bureau is now there. A responsible woman that, upon discovering that, oh, my license disc is expired, would have taken leave at work to go and renew it at the licensing department. A woman that would have done whatever, even do it online, whatever. A woman that would never have allowed herself to look like that. A woman that if at all she mistakenly got a traffic ticket for speeding, being 70 kilometers an hour in a 60-kilometer zone, she would have paid that ticket immediately because she's got biblical principles where it is that she's inspired by the word of God to, oh no man, nothing except love. But that woman, who is according to God a law-abiding citizen, is looking according to the country like some derelict, some irresponsible miscreant in the country. One of those citizens of ours that, goodness, like, get your act together, man. Like, that's what I look like on paper. I look like the kind of person that needs a freaking intervention staged against them, just according to the standards of the land, when I'm completely innocent. And that's just the problem that I have to pick with the kingdom of darkness. You are the ones that look good on paper. You're the ones that pay your fines. You're the ones that stop drinking alcohol and pride yourself in passing breathalyzers at Metro Police stop signs. You are the ones whose license disc would never ever be found even 1 day out of expiration. You are the one that is always the shining example, stellar citizen of the land, but secretly deep down inside, back at the ranch and behind closed doors with your hand behind your back, you're the thief. You're the irresponsible with finances person. You're the one that's laying the country's economy waste. You're the one that South Africa ought stage a freaking intervention against. You're the one that should be sat down and spoken to like a child, because you will not be disciplined. You're the bully in school that all the teachers are exhausted by, that causes the teachers to quit their jobs. You're the ones that the police are actually looking for. But unfortunately, you're freaking invisible. You're invisible. And so you greet the police at the garage. You pride yourself in being stopped at the roadblock because you know you're going home scot-free. You are the stellar citizen, the shining example that gets the job at Rand Merchant Bank because your credit is perfect. And Karabo is passed up for that job in favor of you when she would have done a much better job. So she's unemployed years down the line, still unable to get a job, while you have grown from strength to strength. But guess what? There's rattling cadavers in a grave. satiated in their desire for justice, crying out to God, but like, when am I ever going to be okay? That are at your barrel, at the end of your barrel. You shot them into the grave. But never will you ever see orange dungarees or zebra striped dungarees in your life. Neither will anybody even think to investigate you for any crime at all. Because like I said, stellar citizen on paper. That's you. I'm sorry, witches. You've made me look like some careless woman that I just ain't. You have also killed some of your victims, and it all looks like car accidents. It just looks like this chick one day lost her mind and started taking drugs and decided to drive at night at 2 a.m. and then crashed into a pole and passed away. You literally give people, imagine guys, like garnering for yourself a legacy up to a certain point, and then somebody just squanders it by causing you to die a fallen death. The death of a drunk that was drinking and driving behind the wheel and got into a car crash. When you die like that, you are not particularly favored at your funeral. But when you look at the consequences, the sequence of events that led to that drunkard stupor that eventually killed you behind the wheel, you will see that somebody manipulated events to bring that about in a person's life. But this person will pass away having been known as, she used to be so beautiful, so smart, she just threw her whole life away. A junkie. She ended up like taking drugs, for crying out loud. Do you know that in the car where after the scene of the accident, where it is that they found her body, there was like a stash of like very hard knock drugs, like cocaine and marijuana, and this chick was obviously using, and goodness, but she used to be such a good girl. Well, newsflash, people turn to drugs to cope. They turn to drugs to deal with things that they just cannot in their bodies understand what's going on. Before they will run to the noose and commit suicide, they will drink alcohol. So that bottle of vodka half drunk at the scene of the accident sometimes is not as it is not an indication of the irresponsibility of the late person, of the deceased. It is an indication of the consequences of witchcraft that led a woman to drink a whole bottle of vodka and then get in the car. You kill people. But there is no smoking gun, and so, because there's no smoking gun, God is not going to kill you. Nobody's coming for you. The Metro Police think you're excellent. All your tickets are paid. If anything, you've never even collected one. You've got a clean bill of health. You've got a clean rap sheet when it comes to all different kinds of things that people can get into trouble for. Your license disc is freshly renewed every single year without fail. Your driver's license is cool. Your credit check comes out alright. They if anything, call you to take out a home loan, call you to take out a personal loan. They hassle you the way your credit is so perfect. You're always getting these bankers knocking on your door trying to do business with you. You're that girl. I got to that point, by the way, where I was being called. That's how I ended up private banking with FNB. I was being hassled by banks all over the show until finally I was like, so what are you going to give me if I private bank with you? Now today, FNB closes my accounts because there has been no activity in there for too long. As it stands right now, I've got a PayPal donation that I cannot access because FNB closed my account due to there being no money coming in for months. And while I can link my Standard Bank card to be able to access through FNB those PayPal funds, I first have to have any balance at all in my Standard Bank account. That's what's good. That the fee that PayPal takes to link an account and then transfer your money to there might be deducted before I can then have the money transferred over to my account. And that whole process, I cannot do it if my account is on either 0 or minus 12 rands or whatever. And presently, there is nothing in my bank account. So I'm just like sitting around with monies I can't access because because FNB decided to close my account. That was the already linked account on my PayPal, and now it's gone. So I don't have an FNB account, and the Standard Bank, I can't link it until I get money in there. And my mom has retired, and there is no, like, what I'm trying to help you understand is that I'm sitting on a PayPal donation I can't access because of the situation that people have put me in. All I do is rely on God. All I do is wait on God. All I do is just sit and wait for something to give. A woman that used to be financially independent is living like that. So I mean, with FNB closing my account, I remember just thinking, I remember one of your bankers calling me, hassling me for weeks on end until I finally took out a private banking account with FNB. And now today, despite having a history of having had me as your private banking client, you just closed my account without even a warning. Karabo, deposit 5 rands in there, deposit 10 rands, deposit anything, girl, anything. They just closed it. And one day I got an SMS, a text message telling me FNB has closed your account. I was like, my heart was so broken. I was like, it hasn't even been a year, you guys. Hasn't even been a year. How you gonna just close my account like that? They just closed my account. That is the story. 1 minute. That is the story of my life. And unfortunately, it is the story of way too many other people's lives. The Lord regards and has absolute respect for comprehensive justice. And he also regards who is innocent in the room. He also regards consequences that led to a person being in a particular situation, despite all of the red tape that the earth has to offer, and shove down everybody's throat. And with the red tape that is around my life and the lives of your victims, which is who is going to give them justice? Who is going to restore them to any semblance of a normal life? Who is going to be made to listen to the woman that looks really terrible on paper? Who's going to be made willing to do that? Who's going to effect that mercy, that grace? If not for God, because your governments are too in-depthly involved in investigating as with a magnifying glass the red tape. They love the admin, the gory details of what a person looks like on paper. The Lord is the one that awards promise to a person that has none according to the standards of this earth. And sometimes the way that he fulfills that promise is by exsanguinating the random dark incendiary thing that you are out of the room, which is, I will say that time and time again, you're passing away, you're gonna die. And I'm speaking with this feverish irritation in my throat right now, precisely because I am attacked yet again by all of you. You've come at my ministry, you've come at my body, you've come at my exhaustion to exhaust me even more. You keep on coming at me because you won't cease hostilities against my person because I am growing on YouTube in spite of what you're doing. I appear to be working more despite the spells to stop me from working. And so you are piling more and more on me, hoping to cause me to struggle. This is actually how the Holy Spirit said it to me the other day. Yesterday, actually, to be exact. He said that they keep on piling more and more witchcraft on you to make you struggle to get to where you want to get. And they're going to be humiliated because the time of struggling to move even 1 inch in 5 months is gone. I am no longer going to be doddering about scraping through just to get 1 subscriber. That time is gone, but you keep on flooding me with loads more sorcery precisely because the mindset behind it all is this: make us struggle and delay this, stretch it, and then we'll basically be sitting here next year this time still having this discussion, and then the year thereafter, and so on and so forth. The Lord has made it clear to me that the time of doddering about, snail paced, making microscopic inclinations in traction is gone. It's done. I'm no longer going to move around like a tortoise, a sloth. I am now a bullet piercing through any structure trying to stand in its way. That's what I am now. But despite being a bullet, this is what's accurate. Witchcraft is witchcraft, it's witchcraft. And all of this demonic attack effects physically in the body where you get exhausted. You get tormented mentally, like your brain. They fog you. Do you understand? They cause you to essentially, the witchcraft works by suggestion. So it's all these voices in your head that you have to demolish by the word of the Lord, by the Holy Spirit. You've got to demolish arguments and every lofty imagination that exalts itself above the Most High and hold into captivity every thought to the obedience of Jesus Christ. It's an intentional, active feat to do that. You have to actively realize that something that is being suggested to you is rubbish, is demonic. You've got to see in your own body when you've slept for 8 beautiful hours, when you're suddenly exhausted beyond explanation, that it's not normal, it's not natural, and that if you resist the devil, he will flee from you. So you got to strive it out for like 2 hours and then you'll finally break through. Sometimes it's not even 2 hours, it's 2 days where you just have like an unexplained fatigue. That is always going to be an ongoing issue. It's always going to be there. And so that's what I'm making war with right now. I'm irritated by the fact that I am bombarded by a mental anguish, a mental torment, like just these voices that you keep on sending to me to sit down. You're getting nowhere. You're moving absolutely nowhere. Listen, gone are the days when I have to self-motivate. Do you understand? Gone are the days where I have to motivate myself in spite of no traction. Where it is that I'm walking by faith and not by sight. Gone are the days where I have to wear such an exquisite amount of faith that I'm frankly quite pleasing to the Lord at this present moment. Gone are the days where I'm marooned in the middle of the ocean in some tiny little dinghy, unbeknownst to myself how close to shore I am, and how many days I'm gonna have to keep on rowing with my hands to finally get close to land, and so put my feet in some soil and feel rested by the peace I'm gonna endure. Those days are gone. A couple of days ago, weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, my little dinghy woke me up by crashing on some rocks. And when I woke up, I realized that, oh my goodness, I'm on land, having been marooned. First, I saw some seagulls, so I knew I was close to land, and then I crashed into rocks. And so no longer do I have no line of visibility as to where I'm going. Now, if I check my statistics after just 1 week of uploading content on YouTube, there is significant traction. The first time I checked, I had grown 200 subscribers. I then checked again and another 200 after just a week. I'm growing at an astronomical rate, the way that I ought to be growing. So the amount of work I'm doing is bearing fruit. Gone are the days where I'm casting my bread upon the waters and trusting that after many days it will come back to me. Now I'm casting my bread into the waters, and after just a couple of hours it's coming back to me. What I'm trying to explain to you guys is that gone are the days where I would have to walk in so much exorbitant faith, because I walk by it and not by sight, that in spite of seeing no results at all for what I'm doing, I still am holding on to Jesus. The Lord has given me relief to finally see the fruit of my labor, because these are the many days that have progressed that are now bringing back the bread that I cast on the waters. So despite how much you can exquisitely wear me out with all of these spells that make me feel fatigued and like I'm going nowhere, tormenting my mind, telling me that I'm gonna die. Like, I don't know, the number of suicide spells, the death curses that have been cast on me ever since my channel started growing are ridiculous. And then on top of that, there are the Korobela, the men who want to be with me. And then there are the women who are trying to thwart me. They are increasing the amount of sorcery they're sending to me, and it is coming to me in floods of demonic attack, mental torment, dreams that are terrible, and they sit very heavily on my chest, as they've been sitting on my chest all this time. But then I check what's going on online, or I will be sitting here basically just going through the modes in my mind about why in the world am I feeling so tired, so fatigued, so inebriated with sorrow. Why and then kun will come in a notification on my phone telling me this person has subscribed, that person has subscribed, and I'm like, okay. So all these things that are suggesting in my mind that I'm getting nowhere, they're nothing but suggestions. Yeah, guys, there's an intersection, an equilibrium point where a Christian is walking in faith and there's nothing that they can see, versus a Christian walking in answered prayer. There comes an intersection, an equilibrium point, where upon the 2 points intersecting, the believer now gets to see that the devil is lying, very obviously. The believer gets to see that that which is resisting them is obviously a lie. And I have reached that equilibrium point, and there's going to come a time where I even surpass the point of equilibrium, meaning that I will be walking in so much obvious prosperity that all the demonic attack that comes my way will be easily laughed at. I am not yet presently at the point or the place where I am easily laughing at demonic attack, because I'm still kind of panicked. I come from a hard life. I come from a hard time. And so for those reasons, I'm still very panicky, and I'm still, guarded, extremely guarded. And with that guardedness, therefore also comes, like I said, panic, fear. To a certain extent, I'm kind of pessimistic about the place that I find myself right now, where there is obviously relief. Do you understand? I'm at shore, but I have not yet gotten to see my beachside mansion. I'm at shore, but I am not marooned in the center of the ocean, in nothing, suspended by nothing but a dinghy. I'm no longer there. But because of having been in that position for so long, I'm still skeptical. And so I'm only at equilibrium. But the nice thing about equilibrium is that which is antagonistic to the reality of what God is doing is immediately refuted by recognition of obvious prosperity in the midst of work that you put in. I am reaping what I have sown in a way that I can see. I've arrived. But as I progress past the point of equilibrium, I will become less and less frantic at all of your spells, meaning you will start to fade in the background. You'll become less and less worth my while to speak about. Essentially, you're going to become even more forgettable than you presently are. So it is ideal that you should repent now. You pride yourself in me having very little numbers watching my long form content, and this is the meatier content that really is very beneficial for people. It does not matter. The bigger I get, the bigger my subscriber numbers get thanks to me doing shorts, the more interested will people be in my long form content. It is a proportional growth. Shorts will always be viewed a lot more than long form content, but the more you grow traction in subscriber numbers, the more you start to get hundreds of views on your long form content, thousands, and then going into, well, one day perhaps the Lord might bless me with a video that actually gets like 100,000 views or something. The day's gonna come when I'm finally getting viewed by thousands of people per video I upload. But right now, people are literally running on where it is that there are issues. It's like you literally focus on the negative, the flawed aspects. My content is edifying, but it is presently unperused because of the fact that people tend to underestimate that which is already underestimated. So when a video is barely viewed after a couple of days of being uploaded, people are going to automatically assume that it's not good content, good quality. But as I get bigger, I will start getting automatically clicked on, because after just 5 hours of uploading, I've already gotten 5,000 views. That's coming. And so do not look at my meager, dismal statistics now and imagine that you still got something on me, because look at how my long form content is going nowhere in increasing measure. Initially starting out gradual, there will ultimately be an exponential incline in the view of my long form content, especially considering I am really quite reaching. I'm interesting. I'm a page turner. If I was a book, I would be called a page turner. You don't just walk away from a page turner. You keep reading even if it's at the expense of your sleep. And that's who I am. That's what you must understand. But right now I'm at equilibrium, so I am self-doubting. And in my self-doubt, there are people who keep on casting spells all up in my grill, wearing me out. But the day is gonna arrive when all of that fatigue that you throw in my grill will immediately be refuted by the obvious abundance of prosperity that I am walking in. This is the end of the road for you, witches. I would implore you severely to repent. Because you are about to perish, you're about to die, you're exhausting me, you're wearing me out, you're causing me doubt, you're causing me sorrow in the midst of obvious breakthrough. How much worse then are you making the lives of those people that are still in the center of the Bermuda Triangle that you have caused them to twist in a vortex in? How much worse? You've made the lives of people a living nightmare. Repent, do a better thing, be better. You don't have to go out like this. But understand, if you do not repent, if you don't down tools, if you do not cease hostilities against us, if there is no ceasefire, by a certain date, you will pass away and realize that gangsters go to prison. It's what's always been the plan. It's always been what's right. And seeing as the ones on earth that stab people go to prison, where it is that there's a smoking gun or a dripping knife, why under heaven, when you've got spiritual dripping knives and smoking guns, are you not going to prison? God is going to put you in the prison that Hannibal Lecter went to physically. The prison that Moses Sithole went to physically. Ted Bundy, yeah, God is going to put you in one, but it's not going to be one where you're going to get 3 warm meals a day, watch some television, have some evangelist out you come and try to convert you to Christ. If like proper. You're not going to be getting books sent to you that you can read in the prison. You're not going to be getting dessert. You're not going to be getting, you get my point, you're not going to be getting visitors, even conjugal visits from your wives and husbands. Nah, honey, you're going to be burning. You're going to be getting tormented in Hades and Sheol and Gehenna. The prison of Jesus takes no prisoners. That's what I'm getting at. Jesus's prison, God's prison, ain't no meals coming, just a worm that dieth not. In that place the smoke of your torment rises up forever, and there is weeping and gnashing of teeth, and there is no rest for you day and night. There is no book you can read there. You don't get to sit down on a toilet seat and poop, stinking up an entire jail cell. But that's all the stench you get. No, there is going to be the stench of rotten corpses all around you, not just of your feces, because you don't have a separate pooping quarters from where it is that you sleep. All the discomforts in earthly prisons, you will wish you had them. If only they had arrested you for the crimes you committed when you were living on earth. You're going to wish that you were like an earthly prisoner, that you had honestly been a criminal. In other words, you went and killed people in a bank and your face was caught on camera and you were arrested, put through a trial, and then put in a maximum security prison. You're going to wish you had been put in a 4x4 cell in solitary confinement rather than go to that place. You will wish that you had a smelly toilet that does not flush in your jail cell, that causes you to gag all day long and nobody's coming to fix it because nobody's listening to your needs because your prison is not reformed. You're going to wish that you were sleeping right next to that bubbling toilet with human stools all over the show. You're going to wish that you were there instead of where you're ultimately going, because the Lord takes no prisoners. You just go to hell. And some of y'all are about to die because people's blood is crying out to God for justice. Given that you're the one that put your friend in a car accident in a drunken stupor. You did that by a sequence of events that led to that kind of state of that friend of yours thanks to your sorcery. Do better. Repent. You've been warned. Too many people are dying at your hands. You have made me wonder, you've made me wonder, Mina, personally, if there is a rapture coming, or if at all the Lord is going to give me the future that I'm seeking for because of the level of attack that I'm presently being endured under. Now, as I speak to you, the attack is exquisite. And I'm like, but like, how do I have a future? How do I have a husband? How am I supposed to carry a baby and dote over it when I am this, like, spiritually afflicted? Maybe the rapture is what needs to happen because these witches won't down tools. They won't put down the magic wand. Nah, guys, it's not me that's getting out the way. It's not me that's going to have to leave the earth that I might find reprieve. It's you that are going to be taken out the earth that the rest of us might find reprieve. Don't say we didn't warn you. I'm signing out in Christ's name, Cran K. Bye.